Are you worried about getting weaker as you get older? Does the thought of struggling with stairs, losing your balance, or even just getting up from your favorite chair cast a shadow over your future? It's a common fear, isn't it? We see it all around us, friends, family, maybe even ourselves starting to slow down. We hear the statistics, frankly startling ones, like the fact that by age 80, many people might lose up to half the muscle mass they had in their youth. Half. Think about that for a moment. That condition, called sarcopenia, isn't just some abstract medical term. It's real. It affects millions of seniors right now, and it's a direct threat to something incredibly precious: your independence. It's linked to falls, injuries, hospital stays, things none of us want to face. You might even be doing things you think are helping, maybe gentle walks, maybe some supplements, but still feel that creeping weakness. But what if I told you that much of this decline, this slow fading of strength, isn't the inevitable sentence we've been led to believe it is? What if some seniors, often called superages, are defying expectations, staying strong, active, even hiking or playing sports well into their 80s and 90s? How are they doing it? Are they just lucky? Research, including work from respected institutions like the Mayo Clinic and Harvard, suggests it's not just luck. They've identified specific practices, specific habits that seem to protect and even rebuild muscle, even later in life. Yet here's the frustrating part. These insights often don't trickle down. Many of us are still operating on outdated advice, missing out on powerful strategies that could make a real difference. Today, we're going to pull back the curtain. We're going to look at 7 evidence-backed approaches these remarkably strong seniors often use. Now, I want to be clear. This isn't about magic pills or impossible routines. It's about understanding how your body really works as it ages and making smarter choices. We'll need to challenge some old assumptions. Are you ready to explore how you might protect your strength and stay active for years to come? Stay with me, because the first strategy might surprise you. It involves using stress to your advantage. Number 7. Embrace good stress. The power of hormesis. Now, I know what you might be thinking. Stress? Isn't stress bad for us? And yes, chronic, unrelenting stress certainly is. But there's another kind of stress. Short, controlled bursts of challenge that can actually make our cells stronger and more resilient. It's a concept called hormesis. Think of it like the old saying, "What doesn't kill you makes you stronger," but applied at a cellular level. Superages seem to intuitively, or perhaps intentionally, incorporate these beneficial, low-dose stresses. What does this look like in practice? Well, one way is through temperature variation. Have you ever considered ending your shower with just 30 to 60 seconds of cold water? It sounds bracing, maybe even unpleasant, but research suggests brief cold exposure can stimulate something called brown fat, boost your mitochondria, the powerhouses of your cells, and trigger protective responses in your muscle tissue. It's not about freezing yourself for long periods, just a quick jolt. Similarly, heat exposure, like using a sauna or even taking a hot bath, can activate heat shock proteins. These act like little repair crews inside your cells, fixing damage, including in muscle tissue. Some studies, like one from Finland, showed that regular sauna use was linked to significantly less muscle loss over time. Isn't that fascinating? A simple, enjoyable habit, potentially protecting your strength. Another hormetic stressor is intermittent fasting, or time-restricted eating. This doesn't necessarily mean eating less, but rather limiting your eating window, say, to 8 or 10 hours a day. Doing this gives your body a break from constant digestion and activates a cellular cleanup process called autophagy, which helps remove damaged components and improve muscle quality. Research suggests this can improve muscle cell function fairly quickly. Could shifting when you eat be as important as what you eat for muscle health? Finally, consider short, intense muscle contractions. Think about pushing or pulling against something immovable, like pushing hard against a wall for just 5 to 10 seconds. These are called isometric contractions. They send a powerful signal to your muscle cells to stay strong, but without putting much strain on your joints. The key with all these stresses, cold, heat, fasting, isometrics, is that they should be brief and followed by adequate recovery. It's about challenging the system, then letting it bounce back stronger. When done right, these practices can activate longevity pathways in your body that help preserve precious muscle tissue. It's a different way of thinking about health, isn't it? Not just avoiding bad things, but strategically adding small challenges. Does this concept of good stress resonate with you at all? Number 6, timing your protein intake, the missed opportunity. We all hear about protein being important for muscles, right? Especially as we get older. But here's a crucial detail many people miss. It's not just how much protein you eat, but when you eat it. As we age, our bodies can become a bit less efficient at using the protein we consume to build muscle. This is sometimes called anabolic resistance. It's like the muscle-building machinery isn't quite as responsive as it used to be. So, what's the secret? Instead of loading up on protein at just one meal, maybe dinner, superagers often focus on distributing their protein intake throughout the day. Think of it this way. Each meal gives you a window of opportunity, maybe 3 to 4 hours, for muscle protein synthesis, the actual process of building and repairing muscle. If you skip protein at breakfast and lunch, you're essentially missing those windows. The goal seems to be aiming for around 25 to 30 grams of high-quality protein with each main meal, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Are you falling into the toast and coffee trap for breakfast? That's a missed chance. Consider eggs, Greek yogurt, or even a protein smoothie instead. Then maintain that focus at lunch and dinner with sources like lean meats, fish, dairy, beans, or lentils. This isn't just theory. Studies have shown that timing protein this way can significantly boost muscle protein synthesis by as much as 25% compared to eating the same total amount of protein crammed into fewer meals. One study even found participants gained over a pound of muscle in 12 weeks just by adjusting their protein timing without other major lifestyle changes. It makes you wonder, doesn't it? Could simply rearranging when you eat your protein unlock better strength? It's a relatively simple shift that could offer significant rewards. What does your typical daily protein intake look like? Number 5. Optimizing your vitamin D, the sunshine vitamin's muscle role. Our vitamin D. We often associate it with bone health, and that's certainly true. But its role in muscle function is absolutely critical, and unfortunately, often overlooked. Did you know that your muscle cells actually have specific receptors for vitamin D? It directly influences genes involved in muscle growth and protein synthesis. It's not just for bones, it's truly a muscle vitamin. Now, here's the alarming part, something we touched upon in a previous discussion about hidden supplement dangers, but it bears repeating in this context. Estimates suggest that a staggering 80% or more of seniors might be deficient or insufficient in vitamin D. 80%. And research clearly links lower vitamin D levels with weaker muscles, poorer balance, slower reaction times, and yes, an increased risk of falls. Superagers, those folks maintaining impressive strength consistently tend to have higher vitamin D levels, often aiming for levels above 40 nanograms per milliliter (ng/ml) in blood tests. Compare that to many typical seniors whose levels might hover below 20 ml. That's a significant difference. Why the deficiency? Well, while sunshine helps our skin produce vitamin D, aging skin becomes much less efficient at this process, maybe producing 50% less than younger skin. Plus, many of us spend more time indoors. Relying solely on sun or food might not be enough. While fortified foods like dairy and fatty fish like salmon do help, many older adults likely need supplementation. And here's where common advice can fall short. The standard recommendation might be around 600 IU international units daily, but evidence suggests many seniors might need significantly more, perhaps 2,000 to 4,000 IU daily, to reach those optimal levels. But a crucial word of caution here, echoing what we've discussed before about supplement balance: vitamin D doesn't work in isolation. It needs partners, especially vitamin K2. Vitamin K2 helps ensure that the calcium vitamin D helps you absorb goes to your bones where it's needed, not into your arteries where it can cause calcification and potentially harm circulation, which, ironically, could also weaken your legs. Taking high doses of vitamin D without ensuring adequate K2, often found in fermented foods, egg yolks, and grass-fed dairy, might be counterproductive. So the takeaway isn't just to blindly pop vitamin D pills. It's about understanding your actual levels. Have you had them tested recently? And supplementing smartly, likely aiming for higher levels than standard recommendations if needed, and ensuring you have adequate K2 intake as well. Getting this balance right could be a game changer for your muscle strength and stability. Are you confident about your vitamin D status? Number 4. Managing inflammation. The silent muscle saboteur, inflammation. It's a word we hear a lot, often linked to joint pain or specific diseases. But there's a type of chronic, low-grade inflammation, sometimes called inflammaging, that quietly simmers in the background as we age. And guess what? It's terrible news for your muscles. Think of it like a constant, low-level static interfering with your body's signals. This chronic inflammation actively accelerates muscle breakdown and interferes with the anabolic signals, the messages telling your muscles to repair and build themselves. Research from institutions like Tufts University found that seniors with higher levels of inflammatory markers lost muscle mass 3 times faster than those with lower levels. 3 times, that's not trivial. So it's no surprise that superagers typically show remarkably low levels of inflammation. How do they manage it? It's usually not one single thing, but a collection of daily habits. Prioritizing sleep. Consistently getting 7 to 8 hours of quality sleep, ideally in a very dark room, is crucial for controlling inflammation. Are you protecting your sleep? Nurturing gut health. A healthy gut microbiome is key. This means consuming plenty of diverse fiber, aiming for maybe 30 different types of plant foods per week. Think fruits, vegetables, nuts, seeds, legumes, and including fermented foods like yogurt, kefir, or sauerkraut, which are rich in probiotics. Strategic exercise. Regular, moderate-intensity exercise, most days, is anti-inflammatory. Interestingly, adding brief bursts of higher-intensity exercise once or twice a week can also help manage inflammation, provided you allow for recovery. It's about consistency, and finding the right balance. Anti-inflammatory diet choices. Consciously including foods and nutrients known to fight inflammation makes a difference. Think omega-3 fatty acids, found in fatty fish, flax seeds, walnuts, maybe aiming for 2 to 3 grams daily, curcumin, the active compound in turmeric, and plenty of polyphenol-rich foods like berries, dark chocolate, green tea, colorful vegetables. Doctors can measure inflammation with blood tests like high-sensitivity C-reactive protein, HSCRP. While average seniors might have levels 3 to 5 times higher, superagers often maintain levels under 1.10 mg/L. Managing inflammation isn't just about feeling less achy, it's about actively protecting your muscle mass from this silent saboteur. What's one small step you could take today to lower inflammation in your body? Number 3. Focusing on targeted micronutrients. Beyond the basics, we've talked protein timing and vitamin D, but muscle health goes beyond the well-known nutrients. There are specific vitamins and minerals, micronutrients, that play essential, often underappreciated roles in muscle function, energy production, and protein synthesis. Generic multivitamins might not cut it. Superagers often seem more attuned to these specific players. Let's look at a few key ones. Magnesium. We mentioned this in our vitamin discussion regarding its balance with calcium. It's involved in over 300 enzyme reactions, many directly related to muscle contraction and relaxation, energy production, and protein synthesis. Yet, estimates suggest over 70% of seniors might not get enough. Adequate magnesium levels have been linked to significantly better grip strength and physical performance. Are you getting enough magnesium-rich foods like leafy greens, nuts, seeds, and whole grains? Creatine. Often associated with bodybuilders, creatine is surprisingly beneficial for seniors. Studies show that supplementing with a small amount, around 3 to 5 grams daily, can significantly enhance the muscle mass and strength gains from resistance training, and may even offer cognitive benefits. It helps provide rapid energy for muscle contractions. Could this be a missing piece for you? Methylated B12. Vitamin B12 is crucial for nerve function, which controls muscles and energy metabolism. However, absorption can decrease with age due to lower stomach acid. Plus, common medications like metformin for diabetes and proton pump inhibitors for acid reflux can deplete B12 levels further. Superagers might specifically look for the methylcobalamin form, which is bioactive and potentially easier for the body to use than the common cyanocobalamin found in many supplements. Are you on medications that might affect your B12? Mineral cofactors. Minerals like zinc, selenium, and chromium are also vital. They support protein synthesis, insulin sensitivity, which affects how your muscles use fuel, and protect against oxidative stress. Research has linked adequate levels of these minerals with better muscle preservation over time. The key takeaway here isn't necessarily to rush out and buy all these supplements. Instead, it's about awareness. A generic multivitamin might provide a false sense of security. Superagers often take a more targeted approach, sometimes even using micronutrient testing to identify specific deficiencies and supplement accordingly, always prioritizing food sources first. Are you overlooking these tiny but mighty contributors to muscle health? Number 2. Preserving the nerve-muscle connection, the forgotten link. Here's something fascinating that doesn't get talked about much. Muscle loss often starts not just in the muscle itself, but at the connection point between the nerve and the muscle fiber. This is called the neuromuscular junction, NMJ. Think of it like the wiring and the switch that tells the muscle to contract. Unfortunately, these crucial connections can start to degrade as we age, particularly after 60. This can happen even if you're eating enough protein or doing some exercise. If the signal from the nerve doesn't get through effectively, the muscle fiber doesn't activate properly and can eventually weaken and shrink. It's like having a perfectly good light bulb, but the switch is faulty. So how do superagers maintain these vital connections? Research suggests it involves activities that challenge coordination and require precision movement. Think beyond just walking or lifting weights in a repetitive way. Activities like Tai Chi, dancing, tennis, or even ping pong seem particularly effective because they demand constant communication between the brain, nerves, and muscles, strengthening those neural pathways. Studies have found that older adults participating in coordination-demanding activities preserve their neuromuscular junctions significantly better. Are there other ways to support this connection? Some research explores targeted compounds like alpha-lipoic acid, ALA, and acetyl-L-carnitine, ALKR, for their potential protective effects against oxidative damage at the NMJ. Specific forms of vitamin B1, like benfotiamine, might help boost acetylcholine, a key neurotransmitter for muscle activation. Even something as simple as breathing techniques can play a role. Practices like box breathing, inhaling for 4 counts, holding for 4, exhaling for 4, holding for 4, can stimulate the vagus nerve, which improves neural control over various bodily functions, potentially including muscle activation. And don't underestimate cognitive engagement. Keeping your brain active with complex mental tasks seems to have spillover effects on muscle function, likely through those interconnected neural pathways. It really highlights how mind and body are linked. Is your exercise routine just about repetition, or does it include elements that challenge your coordination and focus, nurturing this vital nerve-muscle link? Number 1. Progressive resistance training, the undisputed champion. We've covered some crucial, often overlooked strategies, but if there's one habit that stands out, one practice consistently identified by researchers as arguably the most powerful intervention against age-related muscle loss, it's this: progressive resistance training. Let me be very clear. Gentle walking, water aerobics, using the same light weights week after week, while beneficial for general health, these activities are often not enough to truly preserve or build muscle mass, especially after age 60. To fight sarcopenia effectively, you need to challenge your muscles in a specific way. What makes the superager approach to resistance training different? Focus on intensity. It's less about spending hours in the gym and more about the quality and intensity of the effort during shorter sessions. Research shows that older adults training with higher intensity, meaning working muscles close to fatigue, where the last couple of repetitions are genuinely difficult, gain significantly more muscle than those doing lighter, moderate intensity training more frequently. Are you truly challenging your muscles, or just going through the motions? Emphasize compound movements. Exercises that work multiple large muscle groups simultaneously. Think squats, deadlifts, even modified versions, rows, and presses tend to be more effective. They activate more muscle fibers and elicit a stronger hormonal response conducive to muscle growth compared to exercises isolating small muscles. Apply progressive overload. This is the absolute key. Progressive overload simply means gradually increasing the demand on your muscles over time. This could mean lifting slightly heavier weight, doing a few more repetitions, or improving your form. Without this systematic increase, your muscles adapt and stop growing stronger. You have to keep giving them a reason to improve. Consider the eccentric phase. Paying attention to the lowering phase of an exercise, the eccentric part, like slowly lowering a weight, can also be particularly effective for stimulating muscle growth. Now, perhaps the biggest hurdle here is fear. Many seniors believe resistance training is risky, that it's too late, or that it's only for younger people. Nothing could be further from the truth. Research overwhelmingly shows that even individuals in their 70s, 80s, and beyond can achieve remarkable results. Studies have documented significant muscle gain, like 3+ pounds in just 12 weeks, dramatic increases in strength, and accompanying improvements in blood sugar control, bone density, and even cognitive function in seniors who start progressive resistance training. In reality, neglecting resistance training is arguably the riskier path, as it allows muscle deterioration to continue unchecked, paving the way for frailty and loss of independence. Just 2 focused sessions per week, perhaps 30 to 45 minutes each, can make a profound difference. Have you dismissed this powerful tool based on outdated beliefs or fear? Could it be time to reconsider? So there you have it. 7 powerful strategies, often overlooked, that seem to contribute to the remarkable strength and vitality of superages. From embracing hormetic stress and timing your protein, to optimizing vitamin D with K2, managing inflammation, targeting micronutrients, nurturing the nerve-muscle connection, and crucially, embracing progressive resistance training. The message here isn't to feel overwhelmed, but to feel empowered. Aging does bring changes, yes, but significant muscle loss and frailty don't have to be your story. These strategies show us that we have more control than we might think. It's about working with your body, understanding its needs as it changes, and challenging those outdated assumptions about what's possible later in life. You don't need to implement all 7 things overnight. Maybe start with just 1, perhaps focusing on progressive resistance training, as research highlights its immense impact. Or maybe ensuring your vitamin D levels are optimal and balanced with K2, or simply paying attention to spreading your protein intake throughout the day. Small, consistent changes built upon awareness can lead to profound results over time. The goal isn't necessarily to feel 40 again, but to feel strong, capable, and independent at your age, ready to live life fully and on your own terms. Now, I'd love to hear from you. Which of these strategies resonated most? Was there anything that surprised you or challenged a belief you held? Share one thing you learned or are considering applying in your own life in the comments below. Let's learn from each other and support each other on this journey to stronger, healthier aging. If you found this information valuable, please give this video a like, share it with someone who might benefit, and be sure to subscribe to the channel for more insights into healthy living. Thank you for watching, and here's to building strength and vitality no matter your age.